Hello there. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Kabir, Naqvi. And on the first segment on the show tonight, we've picked up a story that's literally shaken up millions of investors across the country. Gold and silver, the two metals that Indians have trusted for generations, have just experienced one of the most dramatic crashes in recent memory. Just yesterday, both metals were sitting at records high. Gold had touched rupees 1.80 lakh per 10 gram. Silver had climbed to over 4.20 lakh per kilogram. Historic numbers. Numbers nobody had seen before. And then, within 24 hours, the markets witnessed a brutal sell-off. Gold fell 11%. Silver crashed 15%. The exchange-traded funds, the ETFs that track these metals, fell even harder. Gold ETFs dropped 12%. Silver ETFs plunged between 12 to 20%. Billions were wiped out in a single day. And to understand why this feels so dramatic, we have to look at how high we had climbed. In just 1 year, gold jumped from roughly 78,000 rupees to nearly 1.5 lakh rupees per 10 grams. A staggering 90% return. Silver's story was even more stunning, surging over 230% in the same period. And for 5-year investors, the gains were life-changing. These are the kind of returns that create euphoria. These are the kind of returns that make people believe the rally will never end. Many investors didn't buy physical gold or silver. They bought ETFs, the exchange-traded funds that track these metals. And those funds delivered spectacular returns as well. Gold ETFs gave average returns of 73 to 75% in 1 year and 148 to 152% returns over 5 years. Take a look at silver ETFs, even more aggressive. They delivered 280 to 300% returns in 1 year and 440 to 470% over 5 years. The recent surge ties into broader economic concerns. The Economic Survey 2025-2026 highlighted that gold and silver prices are staying elevated because of rising global fragility, geopolitical tensions, ongoing trade wars, and a shift away from relying purely on efficiency in global trade are pushing investors towards safe haven assets. There's also been a noticeable flight from the US dollar in some quarters. The survey notes that unless peace returns and trade stability improves, precious metals could continue to see upward pressure in the long run. In short, people are buying gold and silver because they are afraid. For investors, the message is quite clear. Gold and silver remain strong for long-term holding, especially as a hedge against uncertainty, low supply issues, and geopolitical risks. Experts recommend keeping 5 to 10% of your portfolio in these metals for safety. If you're overexposed after the big run-up, rebalance to reduce volatility. Avoid chasing highs right now and instead consider buying in small steps during dips to average your costs. The focus should stay on safety and steady accumulation rather than the quick gains. We've got an esteemed set of panelists with me on the broadcast tonight. We're in the run-up to the budget, and the big questions that we are asking tonight. Is this sharp fall just a healthy correction after an overbought rally, or does it signal the start of a bigger downturn in precious metals? For everyday investors in India out there, is now a good time to add to holdings on this dip, or should they wait for more stability? With me on the broadcast, Mitali Nikore, founder and chief economist, Nikore Associates. We also have with us Basesh Gala, investor and business expert, and also a jeweler who's soon going to be with us on the broadcast. But Mitali, let's get the snowball rolling here. Many thanks for gracing this segment as well, so close to the budget segment. Gold touched nearly 1.81 lakh per 10 grams. But from a macro lens, from the volatility angle, from the dollars, the bubbles, the systemic risk of it all, gold is supposed to be a safe haven, right? I mean, I'm not an expert in investing, so help the viewers out here. When it swings this sharply, what does it really tell us about the global financial system? What should investors out there and everyday Indians be worried about?
You know, the one line I'm hearing when it comes to gold investment is listen to your mother. everyone is saying this. Listen to your mom. Every month she used to save a little bit, and then every year she would make one small piece of jewelry.
Yep.
You know, to add to her, safety net, her kitty. And of course, I mean, at different income levels, you have different investments. Some people invest in 9 carat, some in 14, some in 18, and others in silver, etc. But every Indian woman has been investing in little bit of jewelry because that's her safety net. And today, the investors are saying the same thing. Keep investing in gold, keep investing in silver, because these are those long lasting metals. Wars will happen, disturbances will happen, geopolitics will happen, but gold will not lose its shine. Silver will continue to have its industrial applications. And I think that's what we are noticing today, that these are the two commodities which are really bringing that stability into our overall very unstable investment portfolio.
Well, we're hearing comparisons to the 2008 level volatility. Is this just a sharp correction after excessive gains or an early signal of deeper economic instability?
No, I don't think, the two situations are so different and yet so similar, right? Why are they similar? Why I'm saying they're similar is because they're both human made. They've both been created by the actions of extremely greedy individuals and corporations, which have been operating without any sort of regulatory, barrier. And this is what we saw in 2008, that when banks were over leveraged, when banks were allowed to take on loans, when they were allowed to take on subprime borrowers, what happened? The entire financial system collapsed like a house of cards. And what are we seeing today? It's exactly the same, except that there are only few monopolistic corporations, an AI bubble, and a president who likes to have his own, currency. So, with his face and his wife's face on it. So that's the way the financial system is being run, and the geopolitics is changing on an everyday basis. Today I'm friends with you, tomorrow I'm not, depending on what deal you're offering me. That's the kind of global financial order that we're living in. So definitely the commonality between the two instances is the collapse of a rules based financial and trading order, which is what we're seeing. But at the same time, I will say that in this situation, the one difference from 2008 is that there are a number of countries that are not part of this, of abusing the rules-based trading order. I mean, the EU, the UK, Canada are coming together and saying, you know what, if this one country is toppling the financial system, let us at least come together and give it more stability. So I think
Yep.
that is definitely going to help.
All right. Many thanks for your opening submissions. For practical money decisions out there, for all the viewers who are watching this show, we have Mr. Gala, who's with us, investor and business expert. A 14% fall in gold and silver ETFs in a single session, needless to say, shocked many retail investors. What mistake do most people make when they assume ETFs behave like physical gold? What should they be out on the lookout for? And how are you assessing these news pegs and headlines?
So we have to understand that there was huge speculation. Gold was being, loved, and then silver, and then it did not stop there, and then it went to copper and even aluminum,
Yeah.
and then now we have metal ETFs in specific stocks. But why is this speculation coming? If we understand very, very briefly, it is because of, the dollar risk. People want to diversify away from the dollar. The US government, the China, especially two big economies, are reducing the dollar reserves in their kitty and buying more gold because of the geopolitical risk. But I'll tell you something interesting about silver. China has physical silver, huge quantities. And silver is needed because they are needed in solar, which is the future of energy. They are needed in EVs, which are again the future of automobile. They are needed in AI computing. So silver bubble was loved by everyone, but there is one ratio which I would like to tell, which has stood the test of time. For the last 100 years, this ratio has never ever failed.
Okay.
And this, which I'm going to tell to your viewers, it is the gold to silver price. And the range it stays is what is the price of gold per kilo divided by the price of silver per kilo. The range is always 40 to 80. So for all practical purposes, let's assume that the price of gold per kilo is 1 crore 80 lakhs.
All right.
And silver is, let's assume, close to 4 lakhs, or similar. The ratio, if it goes below 50, is a sharp sign that silver is overvalued and please buy. And a lot of people in our group yesterday, I have proof they have sold their silver ETFs, their silver stocks, physical stocks yesterday because it breached below the level of 50 and 45. So whenever this ratio goes above 80,
Yeah.
silver is undervalued. Whenever it is below 40, 45, it means there's a big bubble coming. And I think this is my prediction. I'm going to make a bold claim.
Okay.
Gold will continue increasing till at least the near short term, whereas we'll see silver stabilizing. I don't see a great fall in these prices.
All right, all right. I'm going to put out those segments, cut them out, put them out on social media. That mathematics that you just did over there and the bold claim that you made, maybe the viewers out there can make some sense out of it. I've been told a quick commercial commitment is coming our way. Mitali and Mr. Gala, please stay on with us. Right on the other side, lots more to talk about because, like I said in the beginning, this show is not about predicting prices. It's about understanding the risk. A risk in a world where even safety is unstable. And like Mitali put it out, today I'm your friend, tomorrow I could not be your friend. And all of that is leading to that volatility that's coming right on the other side. Stay within your interest.
फाइनली हमारा घर।
तुम्हारी जिद का नतीजा।
मैं नहीं होती तो तुम्हारा क्या होता?
इनकी जिद ने आज इन्हें दिया एक परमानेंट एड्रेस टाटा कैपिटल होम लोन्स के साथ।
रिश्तों को रंग दो, दुनिया को रंग दो।
बिरला ओपस पेंट्स।
रश्मि,
हाँ?
ये मैडम बड़े शहर से छोटे शहर बसने जा रही है, बताओ।
अंकल इंडिया के छोटे छोटे शहरों में ही तो है बड़े बड़े अखाड़े।
नए नए दावपेच सीखेगी और फ्यूचर में मेडल जीतेगी। और बेटा इनका फ्यूचर?
बड़े पापा, SBI लाइफ से इनका फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
तभी तो इसकी जीत का इरादा पक्का है। करो पूरे अपने इरादे,
अपनों से किए सभी वादे।
SBI लाइफ अपने लिए,
अपनों के लिए।
ओह नो, बहुत बोर लग रहा है।
Take a date, not bites.
नो एडेड शुगर, प्रिजर्वेटिव के बिना डेट्स, बादाम, पिस्ता, काजू और शहद से तैयार किया गया लायन डेट्स नट बाइट्स।
Lion date, not bites.
तेरी एक जिद और फैक्ट्री वर्कर सब डबल।
रिटायर हो जाऊं क्या?
अच्छा, प्रॉपर्टी के अगेंस्ट लोन का आइडिया किसका था? पर बुढ़ापा आ गया हो।
इनकी जिद ने कारोबार भी बढ़ाया और रोजगार भी। टाटा कैपिटल लोन अगेंस्ट प्रॉपर्टी के साथ।
Welcome back. Many thanks for staying within your interest. We're trying to decode the metals meltdown and also assess and decode the post-crash roadmap for silver and gold. And hey, I'm not here to advise buying or selling. The show is here to help viewers understand how and why the forces are moving the way they're moving. But I do have some help at that advice. Mitali Nikore, founder and chief economist, Nikore Associates, with us on the broadcast here, and Basesh Gala, investor and business expert. Mitali, many Indian families believe that physical gold is safer than the ETFs out there. And in weeks like this, what we've seen in the past 24 hours alone, is that belief justified, or does volatility now take that vacuum and space and hurts, physical buyers just as much? What do you have to say?
So I think this is a very interesting question. I mean, we always face this sort of a concern when we are talking to people about ETFs and asking them what is their opinion, because it is still a very new investment instrument compared to many of the traditional investment instruments. Of course, physical gold is the most traditional investment instrument, but now even physical silver. But people are starting to realize that if they want to save small, For the investors who want to put aside a small amount of money every month and still accumulate some amount of gold, some amount of silver, the ETFs actually offer a very, very, practical saving and investment option. So people are going for it. There's no doubt about that. But of course, the ones who can buy outright, will always prefer to go for a physical gold.
All right.
The only thing they lose in that is that if they are going for jewelry, then they lose on the making. But if they are going for, a gold coin, or if they are going for a, gold bar or something, then of course, even that is minimized.
If we talk about the smarter mindset right now, and like you pointed out, traditional setups for wedding buyers, for long-term holders that are watching this entire chaos, what's the smarter mindset? Do we wait? Do we average it out slowly? Or do we completely stay away? I think that third option is certainly a no-no, but what about the first two?
No, I think for wedding buying and for gifting and for, traditional buying purposes, there's definitely no question and no alternative in people's mind other than traditional gold. But what we are seeing in that market is the presence of very new categories. Like I was actually visiting one of the, showroom, one of the factories in Titan's, Tanishq factory in Pantnagar.
Yeah.
And there we understood that the demand for 9 carat and 14 carat gold is going up exponentially, and there's also a demand for lighter jewelry, just more wearable jewelry, which which the bride etc can actually wear. So even for weddings, there is a shift away from very high caratage to lower caratage, which is much more affordable at this point in time, and jewelers and jewelry designers are responding by working with this low caratage. So definitely in the traditional purpose of buying, if it's a wedding, it has to be jewelry. But if you are a family that is looking to invest and looking at an investment vehicle, that's where the ETF category is doing really well.
All right. Mr. Gala, a lot of social media posts out there today as I was perusing through social media, even as the economic survey itself talks about social media de-addiction, guilty as charged. But, I was going through the social media posts and they're comparing gold with cryptocurrency now. I mean, we're talking about volatility, but is that comparison really justified? And can one surely say that volatility is here to stay? How should an average Indian now look at this? About thinking about buying gold today? Is this insurance? Is this diversification? Is this short-term trade? How does one go about that?
So looking at current Gen Zs, millennials and all the Indians, I think gold is a compulsory part of your portfolio, like Mitali also said. And a lot of people want physical gold because there are spiritual, religious, family values, astrological values. People want physical golds. Just quick survey we had done today of 50 jewelers across India, and they have seen more shopping happening today because gold prices have gone down, silver prices have gone down, which means that people are still keen on buying. And it clearly shows that maybe silver will be a lot more volatile, but gold, I don't think volatility will be there, and it is not practical to compare it with cryptocurrency because cryptocurrency do not have an underlying. Gold, there is a physical asset which is underlying, and it has a tangible value accepted all over the country, and that is why a lot of governments, since time immemorial, since thousands of years, a lot of governments, lot of kings, wealthy people are holding gold. And a question about ETF, you had asked earlier that why ETF fell so much. It is because of purely supply and demand. Let's understand that today is just a one bad day. A lot of people have done profit booking, and because of the profit booking, they are happy. A lot of people have made money. Even if people want to sell today, despite the fall, and if they bought even 2 months earlier, you have made healthy profit. So demand and supply, that is why ETFs have fallen 15, 16, 17%, 3-4% more, because there was an extra premium. They were growing also faster when the demand was more, and today there's a selling pressure across the world.
Fair enough. Mr. Gala, okay, the crypto comparison is not justified given that. If volatility is now the new normal, what rules should retail investors follow? You've already given us two nice mathematic formulas to follow. Something else on this front?
I'm a big fan of discipline. I think all great investors have discipline and consistency. So if you can do a weekly or a monthly SIP or in ETFs or gold Bs, just do it and forget. I think gold and silver are here to stay. Silver, because there is industrial application in EV, solar, and the way AI bubble is going there, AI is here to stay. So silver is going to stay. Silver prices will stabilize. This is my personal prediction. But because of the
Right.
geopolitical pressures, people want to move away from dollar. Gold is going to slowly, steadily increase. Is my point of view. So the best thing is don't use your brain. Just spread it out. Let's not
Okay.
and
Okay.
wait for if there are healthy falls. I think we should accumulate.
Let's
on
use
those
our brain just a little bit. Let's use our brain just a little bit. I'm saying, talk to us about copper as well. We're learning Meta bought some company that was evaluated to be about $6 billion. That was about fiberglass. Could fiberglass be changing the game, replacing copper as a metal? So, your thoughts on copper? Throw some light on that.
So I'm telling you, all metals are the real gold, and equity is the new scrap. That is the text that I've read, and it makes so much fun. I think people are just looking at speculation. There are going to be demand for metals, and if you see a couple of stocks, Hindustan Copper, or if you look at the metal ETFs, they have grown. They've grown 2x, 3x in the last 2 months, which shows that people are speculating. The fundamental values have not increased so much. So copper here will also increase, aluminum will also increase. But I think these are crypto trends where people are just looking at bubbles to make money. Like in AI, a new AI tool comes and people go gaga. Gold and silver have withstood the test of time and they're here to stay. I'm not so bullish about the other metals.
All right, then we're coming to the end of this segment. But before we wrap up, Mithali, from an Indian economy perspective, does extreme volatility in gold and silver matter beyond, investors? I'm talking about reflecting broader uncertainty about hitting jobs, hitting growth as well. And, this is coming just a couple of hours, 48 hours before the budget.
Yeah. No, so I would say that this is firstly not extreme volatility. I don't think that, we can characterize this as extreme volatility. Extreme volatility would have been if we had crossed the 30% mark on either side. Then we would have said, what is happening to this market? But this is something which is a little bit within the expected range, because what we are seeing is there are a lot of global cues. There are a lot of domestic cues. Even domestically, the economic survey has been such a positive, and investors are seeing that, there is actually growth in the Indian services segment. There is actually a huge amount of growth in the manufacturing segment. So there is also like a little bit of confidence coming back in the equity space. Of course, I agree with my co-panelist when he says that, of course, metals are the gold of the future. There is no doubt, because commodities are doing really well. But this is all well within the range of, a usual, I'm not saying a usual trading day, but not a very, very, speculative trading. So definitely I would say that this is not a sign of an unhealthy economy in any way. And right
but the
now,
global system itself seems to be a little bit under stress. I mean, that was the underlying tone across all articles and blog posts online. That's the spine of this segment as well. That if gold behaves like a risky asset, it looks like the global system is under a little bit of stress. How kind of stress? What kind of stress? What do you do about that stress? That's a different thing. But do we have the spine of the segment right?
No, absolutely. See, the global system is under a lot of stress because of the geopolitics, because of the actual economic factors, not because of speculation. So we are not seeing that, there are traders coming in and selling, millions of dollars in one day of gold. They are slowly building up a portfolio in a direction, and that direction sometimes swings a little bit. 10 to 15% also is on a day when the swing is a little bit higher than usual. But it's not that, it's a pendulum. It's not going in that direction. So I feel like it's not that speculative. It's more about just a cyclical kind of an effect.
Okay, all right. Completely run out of time here. I think we're going to hold Mr. Gala's statement about long-term gold story being still strong, and what Mithali said. Listen to your mother when you're talking about gold. Many thanks, Mithali. Many thanks, Mr. Gala, for speaking to us here on In Your Interest. We're going to slip into a quick commercial breather here. On the other side, the other aspect of the economic survey about junk food, about ultra-processed foods and its impact on economic activity. That's coming right on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
टाटा कैपिटल 2 व्हीलर लोन्स के साथ इसने की अपनी नई बाइक की जिद पूरी।
Open it up, what do you see?
रश्मि, ये मैडम बड़े शहर से छोटे शहर बसने जा रही है, बताओ। छोटे छोटे शहरों में ही तो है बड़े बड़े अखाड़े। नए नए दावपेच सीखेगी और फ्यूचर में मेडल जीतेगी। और बेटा इनका फ्यूचर?
बड़े पापा, SBI लाइफ से इनका फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
अभी तो इसकी जीत का इरादा पक्का है।
करो पूरे अपने इरादे, अपनों से किए सभी वादे।
SBI लाइफ अपने लिए,
अपनों के लिए।
Taxes, jobs, housing, electric vehicles, defense. News9 decodes the numbers behind the noise. You define India's growth story. We decode what's in it for you. Budget 2026. No noise, no confusion. A budget for a bulletproof Bharat.
तेरी एक जिद और फैक्ट्री वर्कर्स सब डबल।
रिटायर हो जाऊं क्या?
अच्छा, प्रॉपर्टी के अगेंस्ट लोन का आइडिया किसका था? पर बुढ़ापा आ गया हो।
इनकी जिद ने कारोबार भी बढ़ाया और रोजगार भी। टाटा कैपिटल लोन अगेंस्ट प्रॉपर्टी के साथ।
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with In Your Interest. Our second segment on the show tonight is India risking its demographic dividend not because of unemployment but because of what it eats every day. Take a look at this. We often think of national productivity in terms of factories, in terms of technology and GDP growth rates, but the Economic Survey 2025-26 has delivered a wake-up call that hits us much closer to home, right on our dinner plates. The government is sounding a red alert. India's growth is being quietly sabotaged by a silent epidemic of junk food and sedentary lifestyles. The survey points out that India's rising consumption of ultra-processed foods, the UPFs, is becoming a major threat to public health and economic productivity. These foods, often high in sugar, in salt and unhealthy fats, include things like packaged snacks, sugary drinks, instant noodles, pretty much everything instant, and ready-to-eat meals. Their sales have grown sharply as well, more than 150% from 2009 to 2023, with retail value jumping from about $0.9 billion in 2006 to around $38 billion in the year 2019. And at the same time, obesity and overweight rates have nearly doubled amongst adults. According to National Family Health Survey and its data, the share of overweight and obese women aged 15 to 49 years rose from 12.6% in 2005 and 6 to 20.6% in 2015-16 and then to 24% in 2019-21, an increase of about 91% over 15 years. And for men in the same age group, it went from 9.3 to then 18.9% and then up to 22.9%, showing 146% overall rise. Even amongst children under 5, overweight trends are moving upwards from 2.1% to 3.4% now in the most recent surveys. And this affects both the urban and the rural areas. And the survey notes that childhood obesity could reach over 8 crore cases by 2035 if this current pattern continues. But why is this an economic survey? Because a sick nation cannot be a wealthy nation. The survey is quite clear. This lifestyle shift is creating a massive productivity challenge. Rising cases of diabetes, heart disease, and high blood pressure are leading to higher healthcare costs for families and lower work output for the entire economy at large. We are losing our workforce to preventable illnesses. And to fight back, the survey isn't just suggesting healthy eating tips, it is calling for all hands on board approach. we are looking at potential 17-hour bans on junk food advertising from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. to protect our children. There are proposals for the highest GST slabs and additional health levies on sugar and salt-heavy foods. The message is simple. The junk in our diet is now a threat to our future and economic future at that. An esteemed set of panelists with me on the broadcast. Big question that we are asking tonight: can higher taxes and advertising bans really reduce ultra-processed foods consumption, or will people just find another way to get their hands on them? Is the link between junk food, obesity, and lower productivity strong enough to justify major policy changes now, or should we wait for more long-term data? With me on the broadcast, Dr. Shikhar Sharma, nutritionist and scientific mentor, Ranfort Wellness; Dr. Mickey Mehta, global leading holistic health guru and corporate life coach; and Dr. Parjeet Kaur, Associate Director, Endocrinology and Diabetes, Medanta Hospital. You know, I'm quickly going across to the global holistic health guru with us, Dr. Mickey Mehta. Dr. Mehta, the economic survey says this is no longer a personal choice issue. Those are directly quoted from the economic survey. From a nutrition lens, how have these UPFs, the ultra-processed foods, quietly replaced our traditional Indian diets? And this is happening across classes, across urban and the rural. What's your viewpoint on that?
Certainly there should be a deterrent. And as much there's a personal choice, yet we don't sell drugs in the open market. Now, junk food is a new dope.
Yep.
Most importantly, you can ban advertising, you can levy heavy tax, but what will you do to social media, the backdoor entry?
Yep.
Today, people are scrolling Insta Reels for food. And the way the food is shot today, very artistically, like how a poet speaks very articulately, that's the way the cheese and the meat and the sauces and the way they light it up, it is beckoning. Now, this food is beckoning. So, cutting down on advertising and levy huge taxes on them will certainly be a deterrent. You must know that today cigarette smoking has come down by 60% in the world. Why? Because someone thought about it 30 years ago to put a notice, a caution, a warning. And then we started playing ads also, which are not palatable and which could scare people off. So it has certainly become a deterrent. Coming to soft drinks and beverages, Singapore was the first one to ban chewing gums, you must know. And soft drinks, beverages were very, very expensive. So India should follow suit with certain countries who set precedents, because junk eating for the juvenile especially is seeding diseases, seeding suffering, taking away celebration. You know, 75, 80 years, 100 years ago, the students in 9th and 10th were like horses. Today they are like ponies.
Yep. I mean, our food environment is clearly broken, Dr. Mehta. UPF sales have grown 150% since 2009, and the obesity numbers have more than just doubled in the same time. So what do we do about this food environment? I mean, you have some fitness influences, but I don't think there are enough.
So, you know, I think it's all the fault of the parents. I'm very honest and blunt about it.
Please, many thanks for the honesty.
Parents should be leading by example, and they should set precedents and standards of hygiene in eating in such a way that children follow suit. This is so important. You know, most children have kyphosis. Most children have kyphosis, restricted chest, restricted diaphragms, because they don't go out in the open and breathe, stretch, play, bounce. They don't have sunlight. They don't have sunrise experiences, sunlight, moonlight experiences, open sky experiences. They don't roll in the grass, mess in the mud. Their immunity is so dipped down.
No, you're absolutely right. But what do you do? I mean, that McDonald's drive-through is just so inviting and attractive. What do you make of it? You know, let me bring in a doctor on board with us. Dr. Parjeet Kaur, Associate Director, Endocrinology and Diabetes, Medanta Hospital. Doctor, from survey linking obesity directly to productivity loss, I mean, from your own clinical experience, this is where it comes in. How early are lifestyle diseases now showing up in India's working age population, and talk about the kids as well?
Yes, exactly. So that's what we are seeing. So lifestyle disorders like obesity, diabetes, heart disease are no longer restricted to the middle age or older people. We are seeing very much in this, in fact, starting right from adolescents, children, and of course the young adults. And in fact, it's the fact that we Indians, we develop diabetes and heart disease at much younger age, 10 to 15 years earlier than the Western counterpart. That fact is already established. But the more worrisome is what we are seeing is in the children and adolescents, rising cases of obesity, pre-diabetes, and diabetes, and there is no doubt that is all linked to the lifestyle. Lifestyle means the diet and the physical activity both. And in the diet, yes, of course, these instant foods, the ultra processed foods have a big role to play because this is replacing their normal diet actually. This is something they are getting full with all these food items and they're not just left hungry for the good healthy food. And more important is the school, which is the role of school, I think, is a lot in this case because the exposure of kind of foods which they get even in the schools, the kind of packed food, the material which is available, I think that's where we need to work upon, and along with the physical activity part as well. I think schools are emphasizing more on the marks and all, but physical activity, something should be
the
non-negotiable.
campuses are now becoming very sustainable, but lifestyle is not becoming sustainable or conducive to longer health at all. Dr. Shikha Sharma, nutritionist and scientific mentor, Ranfort Wellness, with us on the broadcast. There's a perception, doctor, that healthy eating is quite boring. Till you see that, you know, butter dripping off of those naans and, you know, your orange butter chicken gravy doesn't look appeasing. That's also, I mean, that is considered traditional eating in these days. So, if healthy eating is boring, restrictive, or quote-unquote uncool for the new Gen Z, how do you change that narrative? What's some trick, some tip, some technique that you would like to throw across to all the youngsters that are watching this broadcast?
So 2-3 things. I think it's all about making things culturally relevant and culturally cool. Like, for example, when I was growing up, at that time, you had big ads showing people smoking, whether it was actors or whether it was media. So smoking was cool, and a lot of people took to smoking because it was cool. Then if you see over the years, fitness became cool, and it is becoming cool, and drinking too much alcohol was not considered cool because it would affect your fitness levels. So I think we have to create a culture, especially for the Gen Z, that being fit and healthy is cool, and it is not cool to be unhealthy, having no energy, you know, drooping shoulders. So I think we need to change the narrative around health, and instead of saying don't eat this or don't eat that, we have to change it to how would you, like, for example, we have people who want to be better. Like, this is a Gen Z thing, that be the best version of yourself. And how are you going to be the best version of yourself? If you choose smart things. I think that's where we have to come. Another thing I want to say, a lot of things actually, you know, we think it's a choice, but it's not a choice. It is an environmental influence. So if you really see people who move to a city or a country where you walk more and you have healthier choices around you, lose weight naturally without changing anything about themselves. So obesogenic environment is what is happening. If we change the environment in schools in terms of more access to better quality of food, fresher food, I think without doing too many things in terms of personal behavior change, a 10-15% change would happen just by changing the environment.
You're absolutely right. I think the young Indians out there don't even realize how much they're being nudged towards, you know, really unhealthy food. Dr. Mehta, you know, for a working Indian that's watching this show, we've spoken about the youngsters. Eating healthy today, you know, there's an argument that it's actually more expensive to buy the organic food out there is actually more expensive, and it's more inconvenient than just going and, you know, taking your takeaway and your burgers like junk food. It seems like the system is really not designed for somebody who wants to be healthy out there.
I beg to differ here because our own Indian staple food of sabzi roti dal chawal, the jawar bhakri, the moong dal, and the toop, which is the ghee, and the bhat, masala bhat or whatever, That remains stable across India.
Yep.
India was the only country which had a system of eating in thalis, and India understood nourishment through Shadarasa, which means 6 rasayans. So which were sweet, salty, tangy, pungent, astringent, and bitter.
Yep.
So this is the Ayurveda way of life, and we never understood nutrients as carbohydrates, fats, starch.
You're right.
That's a very Occidental, shallow way of understanding the food. So people in India today still have the thali, and thali is available in every canteen wherever you go. So I go to very many corporate offices to do my work and programs, and generally I go to the canteen and choose a sabzi roti dal chawal in the afternoon. It's very easy and convenient to have. But yes, they are talking about the convenience of the so-called organic food. Certainly that's going to be expensive. We are not pushing people towards that. We are pushing people towards go back to basics.
Okay.
Go back to basics.
All right, let's go back to the basics. Dr. Kaur, let me come to you next. We're seeing diabetes, BP, and heart disease, all of this rise together. Childhood obesity is rising fast. 3.3 crore obese children today. Let's strike some fear in them. How does ultra-processed food accelerate this cluster of BP, heart disease? We're seeing diabetes as well compared to our traditional diets. Let's talk about the worries so that we can strike some fear in those that are watching this and they can go back to the basics like Dr. Mehta put out.
Right. So ultra-processed food, basically, they have a lot of additives. They are sugary, they are salty, and they have trans fats. And what these items they do, once they're inside our body, they kind of create an inflammation in the body. And that inflammation itself makes a lot of changes, creates a lot of hormonal imbalances, including the insulin resistance. And that's where the process begins. Once the insulin resistance sets up, the obesity starts. More the obesity, more is the insulin resistance. More is the fat, more is fat gets spilled over your liver, fatty pancreas. And in the process, you get heart diseases, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. Now, it's very important to understand that this kind of ultra-processed food, the process starts very slow. Initially, you won't even notice something is happening. But
you have the thin fat phenomenon that we're dealing with in our country as well.
Yes, exactly. So what is happening is more of visceral fat, abdominal obesity, and you think you are lean, but you are inside you are weak. And it's not only affecting your actually the metabolic health, it's affecting your mental health also. Because a huge connection between metabolic health and mental health. So once your hormones are disturbed, in fact, I see patients, young adults coming to me, they're obese, they're having mental brain fogging, they're not able to concentrate on the work, their productivity is definitely going down. So no doubt these ultra processed food, they work very slow, they kind of rush the pipe, and you get the problem later on to see, but then process starts very early.
A lot of social problems as well. For a youngster, who's growing up, has a lot of peer, putting on a lot of weight can be, mentally very traumatic for somebody that's growing up. Dr. Sharma, finally coming to you, we're coming to the end of this segment. Childhood obesity, I just put out those numbers, 3.3 crore obese children today. Medically speaking, now, what does that mean for India's future workforce? Let's go back to the economic survey. That concern is justified now, isn't it?
Absolutely. If you look at these children, they are going to have more of asthma, they're going to have more of heart problems, diabetes, blood pressure. And not only that, but they'll be poor performers and they will have bone and other skeletal joint issues, which means that India would be heading for a huge health crisis where productivity is down and hospital bills are rising. Not only that, I think what is very important is that the chemicals which are coming through these junk foods, I mean, we look at salt, sugar, that's fine. But we are also not realizing that the amount of chemicals which are entering the bloodstream of our children could put them at risk for cancers, which are more deadly in terms of not only the risk to life, but also the long-term expense of treating cancer. So I think in this today's time, if we don't realize that for every bag of chips, or every junk food, if we say, if there are suppose 4 ingredients of natural, there are 30 ingredients which are chemical. That's the ratio. So if you're eating 30 chemicals every day over years and years and years, in 10-year period, you can imagine, I won't be surprised if people end up with cancers.
Yep. What India eats today will decide how strong it works tomorrow. I think we'll leave it at that, and people can be making better decisions for themselves. This is actual food for their thought. Dr. Shikhar Sharma, Dr. Mickey Mehta, and Dr. Parjeet Kaur, many thanks for speaking to us here on In Your Interest on a very, very important topic. That's all the time we have for you in this edition of In Your Interest. Top developments right on the other side. Keep it with News9.
इनकी जिद ने किया डेस्टिनेशन वेडिंग का सपना सच, टाटा कैपिटल पर्सनल लोन्स के साथ।
Taxes, jobs, housing, electric vehicles, defense. News9 decodes the numbers behind the noise. You define India's growth story. We decode what's in it for you. Budget 2026. No noise, no confusion. A budget for a bulletproof Bharat.
कभी पानी जैसा खिलखिलाए, कभी चुपचाप जमीन बन जाए, कभी रोमांस के स्पार्क्स जलाए, तो कभी पेड़ों सा एवरग्रीन बन जाए। Senko, Elements of Love.
टाटा कैपिटल बिजनेस लोन के साथ इन्होंने की बिजनेस एक्सपेंशन की जिद पूरी।
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
And US President Donald Trump has threatened sweeping trade action against Canada, warning of a 50% tariff on all aircraft sold into the United States from Canada. The threat escalated over a dispute on aircraft clarification and directly targets Canadian plane maker Bombardier. In a post on Truth Social, Donald Trump said that the tariff would take effect unless Canada immediately certifies business jets manufactured by US-based Gulfstream Aerospace. Now, Trump accused Ottawa of wrongfully and illegally refusing certification for several Gulfstream models, calling them among the most advanced aircraft ever built.